Hey everybody, I'm Raina, and today I'm going to be doing some comic book reviews. The fact that I haven't done this on my channel before is kind of ridiculous when you consider how prominent and permanent this is in my life. I had toyed with the idea of doing kind of like a monthly comic book stack review ages ago, but I just never got around to it. And I was at my favorite comic book store yesterday, which is called Time Capsule, which is just up the road from me. And I thought to myself, this is probably the thing I spend the most money on in terms of expendable income. And the fact that I don't actually do reviews for these things is kind of stupid. So here we go. I have a small stack here. Typically, this is this is about 2 months worth of comic books for me. But I have a bad habit of subscribing to comic books that get canceled, so it's kind of I save money by default. But anyway, I want to just get into it. I'm not going to do a big explanation, but I was lucky enough to grow up above a comic book store in the 80s, in making this whole thing part of like my learning curve, and kind of feel more at home in a comic book store than most places I've lived. So without further ado, I'm gonna talk about my small stack. I read a lot of different kinds of stuff, so it's gonna be a little journey. The first thing I want to talk about is Crush and Lobo, which these are the last two issues of Crush and Lobo. If you guys are DC fans, you definitely know who Lobo is. Now, see, I don't really read DC, and I did when I was younger, so I was kind of unfamiliar with Crush, but I picked it up because it was like I think it was they put it out in June. This series started in June as part of DC's like big Pride push, and I was like, okay, sure, I'll pick it up and see what this is like. It's kind of violent and silly like Lobo is, and she kind of reminds me of like a lesbian tank girl, and I loved Tank Girl growing up, so it's right up my alley. Nothing too cerebral. You're not gonna have any big existential questions reading Crush and Lobo, but who knows? You never know. You might. Don't take my word for it. If you like silly violence and aliens and all sorts of capers, and just this is fun. It's just fun and silly and dumb. I recommend it. I would. I don't regret buying them in single issue form. Anyway, so yeah, Crush and Lobo. If you have a dark little queer heart like me, I think you'll be into it. So yeah, pick it up. Uh, Next is something that is also near and dear to my heart. The next two issues of Elvira Meets Vincent Price, which in theory is like so great. I mean, look at the cover of this. It's Witchfinder General. Vincent Price is burning Elvira at the stake. It's very iconic. If you know anything about Vincent Price and Elvira, very cool. I love the cover art. I love the tongue-in-cheek writing. It's all very exactly what you're expecting from this. If you love Elvira, if you love Vincent Price, you're going to be very delighted at what you find in these pages, especially if you're familiar with Vincent Price's films. It's all kind of geared towards that. And these issue 4 and 5. I'm sorry, 3 and 4. There's another issue coming out. I don't know if this is limited. I would be surprised if it wasn't. I feel like most of these Elvira series are limited. I don't know how much juice they can really squeeze out of this, but I hope they do. Keep it going as long as you can. But yeah, really cool, really fun. Yeah, anyway. So next up this isn't going to be very long either because I don't have a huge stack this time around. Actually, I did. See, I'll talk about that later. We'll do this. Fantastic Four, number 38. I subscribe to Fantastic Four because I support my family. And what I mean by that is that now, when I grew up, I was raised by a single mom, and a lot of times it was by myself, and it was kind of refreshing to see a superhero team that was really a family. And I loved that, and I loved I love the Rogues Gallery. I love that I can step away from the Fantastic Four, which I haven't in a long time, but even when I do, I can step away from the Fantastic Four. And when I go back, I still know exactly what's going on because the continuity is so completely intact. And I don't know. I don't get that with a lot of other series. I try to follow X-Men, and I feel like to follow X-Men, you have to subscribe to every title that they're putting out. I'm trying to read Excalibur right now because I loved the 1980s and 90s incarnation of Excalibur, and it's just not the same thing. It's just like, yikes. But what are you going to do, right? But this issue specifically, I really do like this run of Fantastic Four. It is very in the vein of old Fantastic Four, very classic stories, kind of episodic, you know, like 3-issue arcs, nothing too heavy. But, you know, you've got all of the players and everything's cool. And this issue especially I was really excited about because I love fucking She-Hulk. Like, I love She-Hulk. I've always loved She-Hulk. I love the idea of this big green lawyer representing superheroes. It's one of my favorite things. And this is very much a court issue where the wizard comes and he's trying to get custody of Bentley from Dragon Man, who's got the guardianship over Bentley, and Bentley is a clone of the wizard, and the wizard's like, he's my clone, I deserve to have custody of him. And She-Hulk's like, no, but it goes very wrong. If you're into Fantastic Four, you know what to expect here. This is a good issue. I thought it was fun. If you're into kind of like silly law procedurals, which I am, so yeah, that's fun. And last, I took a gamble on this weird series. Joe Hill produces this DC imprint called Hill House Comics, and it's horror themed comics. And this is a refrigerator full of heads, and this is exactly what it says on the tin. It's really bloody and horrible and silly. It actually takes place in Maine, which is like my favorite place on earth. And yeah, it's like, I don't know. I don't want to spoil too much. If you like horror and you like kind of splatter weirdness, it's really weird. Pick this up. I mean, look at some of this, guys. It's kind of crazy. So, yeah, so that was almost my stack. The other significant part of my stack that I'm not going to talk about is the Blade Runner Origins and Blade Runner 2029 portions of my stack, which I have not read yet, because what I have to do with those is because there's such a long time in between when I actually sit down to read my stacks, sometimes I have to kind of go back and refresh myself. And the Blade Runner comics are not as episodic as some of these. It's not as easy to kind of be like, wait, who is this? What is this? What happened here? Whose body did they switch into? I don't know. But I like them enough to invest that much time to reread these things, to kind of reassociate myself with it. But yeah, so that's it. I'm gonna do these, I think, more often. I'm gonna do more book reviews. I'm gonna do more graphic novel reviews. I have a stack like this tall of graphics that I received for Christmas, and so I'm gonna talk about those, I think, because I feel like I just should, because it's what I'm into. And yeah, so that's what I'm gonna do. Yeah, I've never filmed in here before. This is kind of fun. This is my office where I do office things.
You're off at the office all day doing interesting office things.
I have this kind of fun bordello couch. Kind of like an Elvira bordello couch. Kind of cool, right? Ooh. That'd be fun. I could do Elvira on here. If only. Ooh. Anyway, I'm gonna go. So I hope you guys liked this little comic booky review. I'm gonna do this again. Actually, I'm looking at this stack here and I'm like, oh, there's things I want to talk about here. Maw? Ooh, this is really, really fucked up. I really like it. But just, yeah, anyway. Thanks for listening and watching, and for the trickle of people who keep subscribing. Thanks for subscribing and watching my silly channel. I'll be back. I'll be back more often, I think, especially right now because I have less work. So I'll see you soon. Have a wonderful, wonderful January.